I bought a beat-up old Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet that had been converted into a Maximum Force arcade cabinet, and then I turned it into this. Let's go back to the origin of this project. I'm out of arcade space, so I needed a MAME cabinet. If you've been watching my channel for about a year or more, you will probably know I bought a Killer Instinct 2 arcade cabinet to make it my MAME cabinet. That would have been much easier, but I just couldn't butcher a fully working KI2, so it now lives next to its brother in my shed gate. That left me looking for a good donor cabinet, a real beater, and I found it. Do I regret it now? Maybe, but no regrets. The process started in January, you know, when the weather isn't boiling hot here in Texas. My wife, Lady Cag, and I tried our hand at Bondo to repair several nicks, holes, scratches, and other issues with the cabinet. We did a pretty good job for our first try. I then moved on to ordering the things I needed for the cabinet. Since the traditional MK layout just isn't good for most arcade games, the 7-button layout gives me a lot of flexibility for different games, but also gives me a run button. The whole reason for this project was to have what looked like and felt like a real arcade machine, complete with a CRT monitor. It was also planned to allow me to remove my remaining Arcade 1-Up mods, since this cabinet could then play all of those games as well. This meant I would need to learn how to use Groovy MAME and install CRT EMU driver, which allows MAME games to run at their native resolution. Modern-day Windows operating systems don't like CRTs anymore, so MAME can look a little fuzzy, or in my case, just not output an image at all to the CRT. I was beginning to feel this project was doomed after having tons of trouble setting up this piece of software. Looking back now, it is actually really easy to install this stuff, but I got some bad information from a YouTube video that was throwing off my whole process. But with some help from a friend, Panic Flip Gaming on YouTube, I got it all running and we were good to go. I set everything aside and waited for parts to arrive. Months went by. Right as it got absolutely boiling hot in Texas, a couple of community members and small businesses came together to get my project moving along. Lab Arcades, Charlie Johnson from The Arcadeologist, and Sean from Repro Arcade sent me the control panel I needed to keep moving forward. The arcade community is pretty awesome. A huge thanks to them for being so kind. The links for those guys are in the description below. Although all of this stuff had arrived, I really wasn't feeling very motivated to get this thing done because of the heat.
That is nuts.
And a medical issue I've been dealing with that was slowing me down. Once again, the community helped out. Jojo from the Wicked Arcade texted me and said he'd come by on Saturday and we could knock out the rest of the cabinet work and apply the art. Did I mention it was extremely hot? Well, it was. But Jojo was an absolute champ. He did 90% of the work that day. More Bondo, more sanding. Lots of sanding. And even a little more sanding. We also sanded and repainted the rusty screws and bolts from the cabinet, even the glass retention bar and all the other pieces that are normally supposed to be black but had gotten a little nasty over the years. Then we painted the back of the cabinet to make it look nice and new. Jojo even painted the top of the cabinet for me. The front got a nice coat of paint as well. It's hard to even see the holes that used to be in the front of this cabinet. We applied the art in my garage to try and stay out of the heat. Then we installed some fresh red T-molding. After about 10 hours and a good sunburn, we had made huge progress. Thank you again to Jojo. He's been extremely helpful through my entire arcade journey and a great friend. I then got the cabinet in the shedcade, in the air conditioning, and started wiring the control panel. This is the first time I've ever wired a control panel myself. I cut the wires to the length they needed to be and crimped on the terminals. That way there was not much of a mess underneath there. I used an iPack encoder this time. It took hours to get this done, but that's about as nice as I can make it look. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I installed an exit button on the coin door. This isn't a beautiful option, but it's minimally invasive and doesn't cause any damage to the cabinet, It's completely reversible, and it's kind of in a good spot. I prepared my MAME PC with an extended PC shutdown button so I could place it just inside the coin door and easily shut down my PC before turning off the cabinet. I wired the speakers, ran the cables, and installed my sound amplifier inside the coin door. I also added a USB extension so I can have access from inside the coin door to add extra games or service the PC as needed. I just tucked that extension down inside one of the coin chutes so it doesn't fall in the cabinet, and it's right there ready for me when I need it.
Well, guys, I'll be the first to admit that this is not pretty, and it is very temporary at the moment because I just want to make sure everything goes smoothly, and that is extremely temporary. That's just a piece of Velcro sticking it to the wall. Sorry, I'm laughing about it, but just in case the thing tips, I don't need it falling and hitting the graphics card, which is exposed a little bit. I'm going to make sure everything goes well for the first few weeks, and I'll get back in here and clean it up properly. But there we go. We have the amp there, the power button. The extra USB is just hidden over there, but it is there. I've got my Casa smart plug right there, and the power strip. Everything else is kind of a mess, because again, I'm going to be testing. I want to make sure everything's good. I don't want to put a lot of effort into getting it real nice, because I may have to get in here and change it.
At this point, the cabinet was pretty much finished. All that was left was to enjoy it and test it for a bit to make sure no problems came up. I decided to show it off on a Monday live stream, and things did not go smoothly.
Not like I'm an expert on it, though. I think what happened with MK... Uh-oh. What the hell happened?
The monitor probably just needs new capacitors, but I had another complete monitor in storage, so I just went and got that. I had to use a J-Pack to connect the VGA video output from my PC. This makes use of the cabinet's existing JAMA harness to convert the video from VGA to CGA, which is a signal my arcade monitor can use. The bonus of this is the coin door buttons actually work in MAME now. There was another snag though. The new monitor's mounting holes did not line up, so I had to drill out new holes, which was fun. I got it all hooked up, and I think it was safe to say it was back up and running. And there we have it. It is done. It's in the Shedcade. It's fully playable. The monitor is working, and I've actually stress tested it a bit. Between the last few shots you guys saw, it's run at least 3 hours, and no problems so far. I'm hoping no new problems arise. This is a traditional arcade monitor, not a MacVision, which also, I guess, is an arcade monitor, but this one's a little bit probably higher quality. Well, let's have one look at this thing now that it's finished. It is in pretty awesome shape. I'm really happy about how it came out. There is a stand back there that's in the way, but that's not part of the cabinet. Looks good, looks amazing compared to what it actually used to look like. Really happy with how it came out. Thank you again so much to everyone who helped out, especially JoJo for putting in literal sweat hours for me. So let's also have a quick look at the internals of this cabinet. I'm gonna open it up here. Yeah, down inside, this is the finished product. You already saw this on the video earlier, but I tried to tighten it up and button it up as nicely as I could. There are zip ties. The only thing I did not do is label everything, which I would like to do in the future. And here we have our iPack. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I wasn't sure at first, but I'm pretty happy with it. And I did try and lay it out to where if I do have to remove the control box, which is rare, the only thing I have to actually remove at that point would be this green wire here and this yellow wire. These actually go down to that exit button, and I will have to actually remove those. Also, of course, I have to remove the USB, but everything else is just pull it out of there and it's removable. Maybe in the future I'll add like a breakaway for those. There's our exit button here. Oh, and there is one more thing I have to do before we end this video, which is swap this out for the midway lock or the hap lock that I still have. So we'll do that too. And there it is. It's sitting right there waiting. Inside here, I actually just tied that in with zip ties, and there we go. That's for the exit button. There's my little USB, or I'm sorry, in this case, there's my little wireless mouse and keyboard, just a cheapo, just in case. And here's my USB extension, which you saw in the video. This is, of course, the shutdown button, which is stuck to the top of this so it doesn't fall. And the sound amplifier. I'm still tweaking the audio to make sure it sounds good, but so far it's pretty solid. I had too much bass at first, and it was actually rattling the marquee, but it worked out. Deep inside there is the JAMA J-Pack thingy. And yeah, there's my smart plug, which is connected to an extension. Let me zoom in. Connected to an extension which goes out the back of the cabinet. to a flat plug, actually, because every time I get regular plugs in here, it's really hard to push the cabinets back, so I just bought an extension with a flat plug. And there's the PC. Everything's in there. It's still not real clean in there yet, but I'll get there. So the last thing really to do is get this old lock out of here. And while I do that, I do want to say something or address something that I'm sure is going to come up in the comments. And yes, this is probably a dumb idea for not putting this sooner in the video, because by now all the angry commenters have probably already started leaving me a crappy comment, which is fine. I don't mind. My skin's pretty thick. So first, let me address the inevitable hater that's going to pop up. They're going to say, you ruined an MK2 cabinet. Why didn't you turn it into an MK2 cabinet and restore it to its former glory? Well, first of all, the cabinet was in really rough shape. It was not in anywhere near a glorious state. So I can't really say that I ruined it. If anything, I feel like I made it better because it was not anywhere near ready for Mortal Kombat 2 art. Apparently, I'm not anywhere near ready to install this thing either. But you could easily just put a nice new set of MK2 art on this cabinet now, and it's pretty much ready to go. Like, if you throw an MK2 board in, there's nothing I did to this cabinet that's not reversible. It's 100% reversible. So I don't really care if people have a problem with that. You're never going to please everyone all the time, and that's fine. Now, for those who are wondering why I chose MK1, well, MK1 means something to me because it's the first game that ever got me into arcades and excited about going to an arcade. Before that, it was all Chuck E. Cheese and other nonsense like that. And now it's Mortal Kombat. I love these games so much, you know, and I want to play the violent game, the adult game. So that's the reason for choosing MK1. Before that, I was a Chuck E. Cheese dork who wanted to buy, you know, stupid toys with tickets. So I'm happy about that. And if I ever was going to be, I know this is going to drive some people nuts right here. Look at this. Oh yeah, I had to use the power tool. It was just the first thing I could grab. So, and also this is the game that got me to find games like Killer Instinct that I loved, all that stuff. So I'm very happy to say that I found MK1, and MK1 provided me with this entire journey, I guess you could say. Maybe I would have found Killer Instinct on my own, but I do believe that MK1 is the game that got me into this entire hobby. So that's why I wanted it in my arcade. So the lock does work. Let's close it real quick. And yeah, I know the orientation's a little weird, but the way this lock is, it has to be to the sideways to make it release the key. But maybe there's a way to fix that. I don't know. But we are almost finished. There is one really important part that has to be done, though. Let's see. We're going to put the old CAG keychain on it. I got to complete the project with the CAG keychain. And there we go. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this shorter video that kind of just encapsulated the entire process. No, it wasn't super detailed, but we didn't record a whole lot because of the heat anyway. And I think people just maybe want to see a shorter version of these videos sometimes. So if you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up. Comment, let me know what you think of the finished product. This has been a long process, about 7 months, and it's finally here. And it seems to be working fine, and I'm going to try to keep it that way. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because I do want to do a new Shedcade tour update, because the layout has changed pretty significantly in here. And I'm going to have some room to start putting other things like, where is it? Like the old change machine back there is going to have a permanent spot in the Shedcade soon. So subscribe for that so you don't miss it in the future. And thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. As always, I'll see you guys on the next video.